Can they hear me? Can they hear me live out there? Next beat. That ain't the beat I wanted to.
Those was wood
another
beats
beat.
right
Another
there.
beat.
You know?
Nope. Give me another beat. Give me another beat. Nope. That's not it. That's the beat. Turn it up.
Oh, word.
Turn it up. I gotta hear it a little louder. Can you make it louder than my headphones? Turn me up in my headphones. I'm still stuck in the 80s/90s. Lottos, kangaroo boots, nanny ghosts, Velas, jumpsuits and troops, Junos, color Levi's, Bugs Bunny sweaters with the rhinestone ring on it. Fighting and making up the next day. Nobody getting shot. Working a hustling to get it, a get got. We had love for the streets, our family, our foes, our friends. Respect for the elderly. Pager/payphone, sneaking into Adams Theater. Watching Crush grooving tougher than leather. Hopping gates out the college port to bang out, cause you don't wanna get caught at mom's crib or at Von's crib. Eating funny dinner with the fam. Church every Sunday, 8 o'clock a.m. And even if I fell asleep in the back row or played sick, no matter what, man, I still had to go. 80s, baby. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. 80s, baby. He's a DJ.
Howdy, partners. This is the Xcast number 85. It's day 5127 in the search for Tim Cheval Day. Coming at you a little bit later tonight as the best podcast in history. Ran a little long. It was a good one, though. Hopefully you guys check it out if you're into that sort of thing. I am your host of the Xcast this eve, Josh Houselander. With me, as always, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Adam Hernandez. Adam, what is up, bro?
Nothing much, man. How you doing?
I'm awesome, dude. I'm awesome.
Good.
Yeah, we just wrapped up, best podcast news. A good one tonight.
Yeah,
I liked it. Yeah, a lot of good royalty news and some little bits of history fun, and yeah, it was cool. Check it out if you're into that sort of thing. Good to be back in swing of things here at theempiremedia.com, getting all the shows back going after a little summer break, but got a lot to talk about tonight here on this show, too.
Can I tell you your two best nations from the last show? I think actually I didn't get
you didn't get a chance to do that? Okay, yeah, we covered the most influential nations in history. But yeah, throw it at us, Adam. What's up?
I think your best one was Rome.
Okay.
I thought Tiffany's best was China.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right. I think we those are the ones we made our points for the best too. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. No, I think that was good. Any other ones you want to throw in there real quick? For those people that might have been listening to both or either?
If you want to hear the rest, go listen to the show.
Yeah, good point. That is very true. We'll leave you hanging. Okay, so let's talk some Donald Trump, man. Let's talk. Everybody's going crazy. I'm hearing people on social media tell me that Donald Trump is about to be hanged in the streets and definitely impeached, and he has just committed high treason. But before that, Trump went to see Queen Elizabeth, and he was mean. And then he went to see Vladimir Putin, and he was nice. And this is problematic to a lot of people. So how do you feel? Which one do you want to jump on first? Queen Elizabeth, since it was first, it happened first, or?
We could start with that. I don't even think the Queen. What happened with the Queen is the most egregious thing that happened, though, when he was in the UK.
Oh, what do you think it was?
I think it was the way that he backtracked on his comments against Theresa May, and the things that he said about her. And the whole Brexit thing, and just how he was basically burying her as a prime minister.
Okay.
Yet when it came down, when push came to shove, in terms of having to answer to it, to the U.S. and British press, he backpedaled again. I mean, I think in this very much carried over to the Putin summit, and for a guy who is all about, you're fired and that tough guy persona, Donald Trump in a lot of ways has shown himself to be a coward. But as far as the Queen thing goes, I really don't know. I could actually see arguments on both sides of it. I don't know. I really, I don't want to say I don't care. I just don't think that was the most important thing.
Oh, the thing with Queen Elizabeth? Yeah, I actually, I don't want to say it's fake news because I'm so sick of hearing that. I think it's dumb news. I think that is the term that I would prefer rather than fake news is dumb news. Like, did he walk in front of the Queen? I don't know. You know, I think it's dumb. Was it disrespectful? The pictures I saw looked like they were smiling. I don't care. I really don't care about whether he was nice to the Queen or rude to the Queen or whatever else. It's fairly irrelevant to me.
I don't know if he was actually going out there and going out of his way to disrespect the Queen. I guess I don't have enough information on it to make one judgment or the other. Based on Donald Trump, though, I just don't know if he has the wherewithal when it comes to, I guess, just how you're supposed to be or how you're supposed to present yourself when it comes to that type of thing. But then again, I don't know. It seems like you have to be extremely refined and extremely polished in order to make a good impression or to actually stand toe-to-toe with the Queen.
And it might be the same for Vladimir Putin as well. Honestly, Adam, what you just said, you actually just took the words right out of my mouth. You really did. You were mentioning him being tough or him being a coward. I don't think Donald Trump's tough, and I don't think he's a coward either. Quite frankly, I just think, and I think this is true, this statement transcends just this one instance, but I just think Donald Trump just doesn't know how to act. Quite frankly, quite honestly, I truly believe that the issues with President Donald Trump are the fact that he doesn't know how to act. People voted for this man saying that he's not a politician. He's a businessman. We don't need more politicians. You know what? Maybe there's some truth to that. I think we're seeing in a lot of this why we've always elected politicians to these positions. Listen, is Trump a good businessman? Yeah, I guess he is in a lot of ways. And maybe he is even doing some things to help the economy. But the president does a whole lot more than that, or at least they're supposed to. And do I think Donald Trump committed treason over in Russia? No, I do not think Donald Trump committed treason. By that logic, if Donald Trump committed treason, then pretty much every president since Calvin Coolidge has committed treason in one way or another. To say that they put by that logic, by him putting another nation in front of our own nation, well, then FDR committed treason a whole bunch of times when he put the well-being of a lot of nations in front of ours in World War II. And
an FDR hater.
No, I'm not. Well, okay, no what? Actually, historically, I actually am kind of an FDR hater. But if you had me rank my presidents right now, and this is something that I pride myself on, I am kind of a presidential historian. I put him number 3 of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
That's actually kind of surprising coming from you, actually.
Yeah, well, I don't like him. I don't like his politics.
Is Lincoln
and I don't
number
like
1?
what he did. Lincoln is 1, yeah. I go Lincoln, Washington, FDR.
Seems like Lincoln's almost a general consensus amongst reasonable people.
I don't think I have ever seen a mixed historian list, where they compile lists from different historians on the presidents. I don't think I've ever seen a list where one of those 3 wasn't number 1. FDR, Lincoln, or Washington. Washington and Lincoln tend to flip-flop a lot from the 1 and 2 spot.
I think that's fine.
But they're usually the 1 and 2. They usually are the 1 and 2,
I think that's fine.
Yeah, I do too. And
Washington set the standard when it came to presidents. He helped birth a nation, and Lincoln helped
keep
mend
it together.
a nation.
Yeah, and I know there are a bunch of Lincoln haters out there now too. There are some.
It's so totally off base, though.
I kind of think so too, but their basis being, look how many people died wasn't there another way, Abe? Is kind of the, is the basis for it. And they can make some good points, and I've heard them make good points. I've sat and listened to two extremely great historians debate this point and thought, wow, these two both make incredible points, But at the end of the day, yeah, I put Lincoln 1, I put Washington 2, I put FDR 3. I like to put Thomas Jefferson 4. Teddy Roosevelt 5, typically. And I'm not a big...
Obama 6.
No. Nope. No.
Can Reagan make that list yet?
I think Reagan could make the top 10, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In most cases, actually, even a lot of times these lists are put together by very liberal college professors, and Reagan's usually in the top 10. Usually is. Taft is always up there, too. I'm sorry, not Taft. Polk is usually in your top 10.
I saw this picture of a car that I wanted to send you. I figured this would be, if this was, I could see you driving this car. It was, instead of the General Lee, it was the General Grant.
That's awesome.
It had an American flag on the top of it. It was blue, and I think the number was 76 on the side.
That's cool. That is kind of cool, actually. Yeah, the to the Confederate flag wavers out there, I have never quite understood this. I think that an American citizen has every right to wave the Confederate flag, and I do not think, people disagree with this next statement, I do not think that because you're waving Confederate flag, you are automatically racist. I don't think that. I think it's just kind of a Southern thing, But the question I would ask is, why do you want to wave a Confederate flag around? Why? It's just a flag that represents a nation that technically never was, and their only act as a nation was to lose one war. That's it. That's all they did. They got their butt kicked. Well, maybe didn't have their butt kicked, but
they lost.
They lost. So I don't know why people want to wave a Confederate flag, but I also do think that you have the right to, and I don't necessarily think you're a terrible racist for doing it. But that's life. What are you gonna do? So Trump. What do you think, Adam? I know you're a big time Trump hater. Did Trump commit treason?
Treason's a tough word that I'm willing to listen to somebody's argument on whether or not he committed treason. I'm not going to shut him out. I don't know if I'm quite willing to go there. Like I said, when you equate treason to an American president, I think
basically when you're saying that an American president committed treason, you are in essence saying that he just did the worst thing in presidential history.
I thought that that press conference was one of the worst press conferences an American president has ever given. I think he most certainly threw his own government under the bus. And I think that he succumbed in many ways to Vladimir Putin. I was talking about him being a coward, and I think he was, whether it was the Theresa May thing and then carrying over this Vladimir Putin thing. I think we got to put this in perspective too, to what kind of, the resume that Vladimir Putin has, and this isn't something that happened in Russia, many years ago.
No,
this is all stuff that happened in very recent history,
and it's going on right now. Vladimir Putin's a guy that went and took his military and invaded and annexed a sovereign country. They went and annexed the Ukraine, a part of the Ukraine, Crimea. That is now de facto Russia now. That's not Ukraine anymore. He actually went in and invaded his neighbor and took Crimea away from the Ukraine. This is a guy that had his fingerprints on that downed Malaysia Airlines plane. Yeah.
This is a guy who, Trump was sitting here, talking about the babies in Syria who are gassed and all the innocent people that were gassed in Syria. And who else had his fingerprints on that? Vladimir Putin did.
Yeah.
This is a guy who went and kills journalists.
That's the one I was going to say.
In his own country who oppose him. This is a guy that went and killed British subjects again a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
That nerve agent that that came from Russia. And the list goes on with Vladimir Putin.
Do you know what's something kind of strange when you're looking at it through history too? Adam, is, we're not talking about people who have died in war under soldiers. I'm talking about people who were directly ordered to be murdered under a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Now, many leaders have some of these under their belt. I'm not saying Vladimir Putin is a Adolf Hitler racking up 6 million, a Saddam Hussein racking up, just over 7 figures, or a Stalin racking up 10 million. These are some of the worst ones in history.
Yeah, Putin isn't even close to the most brutal dictator that has ruled over Russia. Of
course.
He's not even close.
But you're looking at, World War II. Who's the bad guys, right? I know that the story can be told from any number of sides, but we're Americans. We're in the Western world here. Who's the bad guys?
I think at this point everybody can consider not the Nazis.
But so who was on their side? We got Hirohito, and we got the Japanese over here. Do you know how many people Mussolini they guess Mussolini had killed?
How many?
Between 4 and 8.
Oh, really?
Not 1,000, not million, not 100,000. They conjecture. And that's between 4 and 8. Let's call it 10. Let's call it 15. Putin's got him beat. And how do we remember Benito Mussolini?
But at that point, though, Mussolini was. You can argue that he was an enabler of.
He was an ally.
One of the obviously arguably the worst person to ever set foot on the face of the earth.
He was allies with Hirohito and the brutally militaristic and fascist Japanese government. He allied himself with Nazi Germany as well. Hey, who are we allies with then? Joseph Stalin.
Mm-hmm.
You
got 1 and 2.
Yeah, So, hey, you ally up with people. And hey, I'm not saying you shouldn't be criticized for who you ally up with. But Putin's got Mussolini beat for sure. He's got Franco beat, in Spain for sure.
Mm-hmm.
As when it comes to murderous dictators.
I think what's important too, Josh, about all of that is when you look around the world, and America's standing when it comes to the rest of the free world. What was Ronald Reagan's, one of his major sayings, the United States was the shining city on a hill.
Mm-hmm.
The way that Donald Trump portrayed himself during that press conference, can you really say that America is like that anymore? Because America is supposed to stand up to guys like Putin, stand up, and who knows what they said behind closed doors. I think that there was a reason why they wanted to be one-on-one and not have, advisors or anything in there with them, which I thought it was extremely dangerous on the United States' part, given the two types of people that are in that room together. You have a KGB agent, which you're never an ex-KGB agent.
No.
Vladimir Putin is still a KGB agent.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a former game show host and real estate mogul on the other end. Who's going to have the upper hand when it comes to just wheeling and dealing from a global standpoint here?
I tend to think I just thought it was kind of strange because I thought, God, it seems awfully dangerous to let the president of the free world by himself in that room.
Yeah,
I honestly did.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I just think that it seems like so much has changed. I don't maybe not so much has changed. I think we've been seeing a gradual change with this, with this whole Trump era and this Trumpian era when it comes to the outlook of the United States when it comes to the rest of the world. And I know all the, the Trumpkins out there, they're like, who cares? America first, America first. Okay, well, Donald Trump didn't put America first when it came to that press conference. Mm-hmm. When you sit there and throw your intel community under the bus, when you try to draw a moral equivalent to Vladimir Putin, that is not putting America first. That is going out and drawing that moral equivalent to your adversary. And that's who Vladimir Putin is.
Yeah.
He's an adversary.
Mm-hmm. And we can try to be friends with them. We can try to be allies, like every president has, since FDR, try to go over there and just be buddies with them and get along and have nice meetings with them. Like we did with Gorbachev and like we did with Yeltsin and Khrushchev and all these other guys.
I think, I'm sorry, Josh, one other thing. And you brought up Gorbachev, and I think, and I'm bringing up another point of Ronald Reagan, just because I think Ronald Reagan is the last good example that we've had when it comes to
good Russian relations.
Well, dealing with something like this. Dealing with, with an adversary that maybe we have no choice in having to deal with, a potentially hostile adversary, because, and you're right, I don't think there's anything wrong with engaging somebody like Vladimir Putin, because we have no choice. I mean, they're a world power.
Sure. At
some point, and again, I'm not advocating going to war or anything like that. I think war is bad. I think that's the worst possible thing that anybody could do in this sense.
Yeah, we don't want war with Russia. No. They don't want war with us.
No, but you don't want to go out and bow down to them.
No, you don't.
I'm sorry.
No, I mean, and hey, Ronald Reagan's a great example. Ronald Reagan spoke very tough, called them the evil empire. He went in there and they were scared to death. His advisors, we didn't know this at the time. We know this through history, through, memoirs and things. They were scared to death that, Reagan's this guy. He's kind of goofy. He's kind of aloof almost in certain ways. And he's going to go in there with this thing. And, Gorbachev's he's been involved in the military and the politics of this nation for so long. They're scared, like, we're going to go in there. He's not going to be able to hold his own. But Ronald Reagan had this thing about him where he was tough and he was firm, but at the same time, he never tried to pretend he was something other than he was. And a famous quote that wasn't famous at the time, but came out much later, long after his presidency, was, they were trying to prep him for all these things he didn't know. The intricacies, the nuances of military and of government and geopolitics that he didn't quite have the grasp on that some politicians do. His advisors were scared about him going into a one-on-one meeting with Gorbachev. He famously but secretly at the time, said to his people when he got out, he said, hey, all that stuff? Gorbachev doesn't know any of that stuff either. Because you really think that Reagan went in there and said, hey, I don't know all this crap. Let's talk. And that's how it went down. But you can do that when you're that kind of person and you're genuine about it. Mm-hmm. And they walked out and Gorbachev was wearing Reagan's cowboy hat and everything was good. It was just like, and things weren't good. Things were actually very tumultuous at that point between us, far more than they are right now. Now, Adam, you know that my favorite thing to do on this show and in other places is to call it the hypocrisy of both parties.
Can I just add one more thing too?
Absolutely, yeah, because I can go back to that.
Yeah, I think that I'm not even a Reagan fan. I'm not.
Yeah, no, I know you're.
But I could recognize the way that Reagan engaged himself with the Soviet Union and just how important that was for the United States, especially given the outcome. It seems like there was a lot to take that, you know, and if Donald Trump engaged himself in any history, all he had to do was take a lot of the points from Reagan when it came to dealing with Vladimir Putin. Trust but verify. Yeah. He could have said those exact words.
Right.
He could have went up to the podium and mentioned Ronald Reagan.
Yeah. He could have quoted him.
He could have quoted. He could have went up there and said, Ronald Reagan, one of the greats. If he wanted to say that, because I know he would get plenty of points on the Republican side if he's sitting there quoting Ronald Reagan.
An excellent, an amazing American and great Republican predecessor of mine.
Once said, "Trust but verify," and I'm going to use that same philosophy. I'm going to use that same approach when it comes to Vladimir Putin.
Mm-hmm.
Trust but verify, and that would have been light years better than how he conducted himself. You certainly wouldn't have John McCain going out there and calling what he did a disgrace, or Mitt Romney, or plenty of other more centrist Republican politicians out there.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? His own cultist faction in the United States probably would have went along with it as well, because because Ronald Reagan is still one of those guys that, whether you're Tea Party or you're John Kasich, is still going to get behind.
Right. No, you're right. I mean, that's the Republicans who are at odds with what's going on with Trump, and also the Republicans who are going full Trumpkin, for the most part, aren't going to disagree too much on honing Ronald Reagan here. No. Listen, we got people screaming treason right now for Donald Trump. We got Trumpkin screaming he's great still. Where are all the Republicans who were so angry? By the way, this angered me too. But where are all the Republicans who were so angry when Barack Obama went on basically his European apology tour? Because that's exactly what Donald Trump just did. Was a big, he took the apology tour to Russia, basically, threw his own country under the bus, as you said. And I don't know where I guess, and I'm mostly pointing the finger at the Republicans right now, but where are all the Democrats who are okay with that then? With Obama going on an apology tour and them being terribly offended when radical Republicans said, geez, this guy's committing treason in Europe. It's like, I know people love to, recently we had Democrats quoting the Constitution already, over the last few days, which always makes me laugh, about what treason is. But come on. I think it's, to me, saying this is treason, and I'm not saying people haven't made some decent points, because maybe some people have made some decent points, but it's like the constant comparisons to Hitler. Every leader that sucks is Adolf Hitler. The Republicans do it, the Democrats do it, everybody does it. Every leader that sucks is Adolf Hitler, or they're Joseph Stalin. It's like, every bad thing a president does is treason. No, it's not. You really ought to think about what treason is. Benedict Arnold committed treason. I mean, people have been hanged for treason. It is true. Barack Obama being soft in Europe and Donald Trump being soft in Russia. It ain't treason. It's bad presidenting. Bad presidenting.
Bad president.
I mean, that's that. But treason.
If it comes out and Donald Trump is selling secrets to Vladimir Putin,
Well, yeah, but I mean, but
That's-
selling secret. What's he selling? He doesn't need money. I mean, what's he? What?
Well, giving secrets.
Well, yeah, that'd be bad.
I mean, that's. I don't know. Then he was giving classified, they say, information to the top. What is it? Foreign diplomat in the Oval Office. So I don't know. I guess maybe it was that worse than what happened yesterday.
Do you know
in
what? Of
Helsinki.
all of Donald Trump's kind of, bold statements that he makes, one that I thought had a little bit of weight to it, honestly, that he said last week was when he brought up the, hey, if this happened with, Russians tampering with our election and, them screwing with our democratic process, it happened during the Obama administration. And Obama should probably be front and center with this as well. If this happened and we were briefed about it in September of 2016, Barack Obama was the president, and I'd like to hear from him about the truth. I'd like to hear from him. He hasn't been shy about giving press conferences or criticizing things.
Obama?
Yeah.
You've hardly heard anything from Obama since he left.
I don't know that that's true.
And there's a reason for that too. That's so you don't. I mean, because one thing that Donald Trump loves is a foil, and I don't think Barack Obama wants to give him the satisfaction of having that.
Perhaps. Foil. I think as far as ex-presidents go, you've seen some Obama.
Just recently. He spoke in South Africa.
Yeah,
but other than that,
and he's been critical of the president. That's something you don't usually hear from an ex-president.
Well, he's been pulling his punches. He hasn't mentioned Trump by name.
Yeah, but he's still throwing punches. Pulling your punches means you're still out there.
He's been very, very. He hasn't been out in the public that much.
Okay, but most presidents aren't. I'd say, comparatively speaking, he's been out a fair amount. But I guess it's that's kind of subjective. But to me, he should be brought. He should be being interviewed about this, too. I believe that. I think it was a decent point. And is it Trump deflecting? Of course it's Trump. Yes, it is Trump deflecting. But just because someone is using deflection techniques doesn't mean that there's never a fair point made.
Look, I have no problem with covering all bases when it comes to an investigation. I think you are doing what you need to do when it comes to that.
We have some breaking news too. Martha Roby is in the Alabama primary right now, Republican, but she's been pretty critical of Trump, and she just kind of stayed alive in the primary runoff, I guess they're calling it, in Alabama right now.
Oh, good for her.
So that just happened. I know that hasn't been the case in a lot of some of these special elections and primaries and runoffs. It seems like the Trump haters or Trump critics have not been doing very well, and the Trump fans have been doing better.
Well, when it comes to the Republican
to the Republican side, yeah.
Because say what you want about him, he does have an extremely high approval rating when it comes to Republicans. I think the highest and in more recent modern times. His approval rating is higher than George W. Bush's was after September 11th amongst Republicans.
That's such a yeah.
It seems weird to say, but
that's strange because so much of that depends on the source. And at the time after 9/11, at one point, George W. Bush had the highest approval rating in U.S. history. He also had the lowest approval rating in U.S. history. So what that means, I don't know. But yeah, that's I've heard that stat as well. So I'm not discounting it. I'm just kind of throwing out the old what is it? Lies, damn lies, and statistics.
But I guess when it comes to the whole meddling thing and what's most concerning now is when it comes to this sort of thing. And like I said, I want to cover all aspects of this, of what Russia did.
Sure.
But you do have to look forward in all of this too. You do have to look to the 2018 and the 2020 elections and wonder to yourself, what is the Trump administration really taking this seriously? Are they really going out there and trying to prevent something like this from happening again? Or doing their best to curtail it as much as they can?
Or even just to get to the bottom of what went down.
I don't know if I could say for certain that they are. Actually, I know they're not making their best efforts, just based on how the boss in all of this, Donald Trump, is acting. Mm-hmm. Even today, when he went and backtracked, when he was given the wouldn't explanation, which I'm sorry, you have 24 hours to come up with an explanation of what happened, and that's what you come up with. But even when he was saying that, I trust my intelligence community, he still couldn't help himself when he went out and said that, oh, well, it could have been other people as well.
Yeah.
He just can't stay out of his own way.
I think there's some potential truth to that too, though. I know we talked about it briefly off air, but you were doing the actual work and setting this up, so I don't know how much you're listening. But it was Tiffany and I when the other show ended. But did you hear John McAfee's statements?
Yeah, I did.
I thought they were kind of interesting, just because I know he's not a Trump fan, and I know that he certainly knows what he's talking about. I also know he's a kind of strange and quirky dude, but he's brilliant, though. He definitely knows his stuff. And basically, we're talking about John McAfee, who created pretty much the McAfee virus thing, and probably pioneered the virus protection you're using on your computer right now, and was also a libertarian candidate for president who lost in the primaries to Gary Johnson. But he basically has said that hackers are amazing at covering their tracks. Only an amazing hacker can do this. I'm paraphrasing. And if they made it look like Russia did this, you can almost be certain that it wasn't Russia.
Let me ask you a question.
What's up?
Do you think that the NSA can get by a McAfee firewall?
Yes. But do I think the NSA is the best and the brightest when it comes to hacking computers? No, I don't.
I'm not just saying the NSA. I'm talking about the entirety of the
US. Oh yeah,
US
they can get past the McAfee firewall easily.
I'm willing to bet that
he's not claiming otherwise, though.
That the United States' intel community has greater insight to this than McAfee does.
But he's not saying that it's impossible or that his stuff is unbreakable. He's saying that there are hackers out there who can beat him and can beat the CIA and can beat the NSA and can beat Russia.
Sure.
There's hackers out there who can easily do that and would do that, and that you naturally would point the blame someplace else.
I think I see where he's coming from, and I'm sure in some circumstance he is right. I think, though, that given the conclusiveness of the U.S. intel community, I think it was Russia.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any reason to doubt that.
I very well think it could be.
And then Vladimir Putin even came out and said during that, which was, I thought, kind of weird on his part. They asked him, "Who did you want to win this election?" Mm-hmm. He flat out said I wanted Donald Trump to win this election. Weird, maybe, but does Vladimir Putin really give a fuck what anybody thinks of him? Probably.
I think he does, actually.
To some extent. But if he wants to hack an election, if he wants to...
See, I view that as politicking. I think if Hillary Clinton was standing there, if President Hillary Clinton was standing there, and they asked him who he wanted to win the election, I think he would have said Hillary Clinton.
Well, I think he would have went politicking even more. I think he would have went and said, well, you know, the American people chose who they thought was the best choice to lead their country, and I'm more than happy to sit here and work with Madam President Hillary Clinton.
I don't think it'd be a good idea for Vladimir Putin to endorse democracy in any form, so I don't think he'd do that.
Again, but he doesn't care, though. He doesn't care what... I mean, he'll go back and dictate what RT and Sputnik writes about him in the morning newspaper.
He will in his own country, but he does want to look cool and powerful to the rest of the world, you know. And I think he actually wants the love of his own people in a lot of ways. He's very Machiavellian in that sort of thing, you know.
Yeah.
Power is necessary. Love is is a luxury. Is, you know, to paraphrase Machiavelli, say that, you know, a dictator requires fear. He wants love. But, you know, I don't know. I really don't. I'd like to get to the bottom of some of this, but I don't know that we will.
I guess the interesting thing, I guess the only thing you can do from our standpoint, Josh, is wait to see what's next.
Yeah. Is it a duty of the Secret Service to be chasing down people who are saying that Donald Trump should be hanged for treason? Or
no.
Calling for the, you know, cook in the Oval Office to add something to his food, or cook in the White House to off him? Or, I mean, should the Secret Service be? Because I saw no less than 40 social media posts yesterday calling for the death of Donald Trump. I mean, should the Secret Service be on that? Is that freedom of speech? Is that... I don't know.
Well,
what do you think?
I don't think the Secret Service needs to be knocking on doors. I'm sure that's gonna raise a couple of flags when it comes to the NSA. No, I mean, you obviously can't come out and say that, hey, I'm going to go out and do this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's something that probably would warrant some questioning from the Secret Service. But saying, maybe the cook should put something in his food, then no. So is that person going to go and infiltrate the White House and put something in his food?
Yeah, good point.
No. And to tell you the truth too, I mean, what are you actually advocating for if you're sitting here calling for an American president to be strung up in the streets?
Yeah, for a revolution?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I can't advocate somebody.
Right. Do you think there's any chance of impeachment because of any of this, or
because of any of this,
or anything else?
Because the Putin thing,
mm-hmm.
Like what happened yesterday?
Yeah. No. Because I'm just seeing a lot of people calling for this.
I told you earlier though. I was very skeptical of the P tape. Prior to this,
of Donald Trump peeing on
others? I guess I'm more I believe the P tape theory more so now than I did before. I don't know. That was a very awkward pause that Vladimir Putin gave when he was asked by a reporter during, the presser yesterday on whether or not you have anything on Donald Trump. it's one of those things that, but again, though, we were talking and Josh, if there actually was a P-tape that came out, how much would that actually change things?
Nothing whatsoever.
I mean, Donald Trump's a guy that survived calling John McCain basically a wuss. Talked about grabbing women by the pussy and, gotten away with his dog whistles here and there, and he's president of the United States.
If a tape comes out tomorrow of Donald Trump peeing on hookers, the Trump
or getting peed on by hookers,
yeah, they're gonna say, hey, whatever. He's a rich businessman. It's none of my business. He's peeing on hookers.
Look at it this way too, Josh. This is a guy that has had multiple marriages and is cheated on his current wife with at least one porn star.
Right.
Yet he's had the overwhelming support of the evangelicals in this country.
Yeah.
Again, is a P-tape ever going to do anything?
No, it's not.
I don't know. Maybe you do reach. Maybe some of these people have their threshold here.
Well,
but
the thing is, I love calling out this hypocrisy that you're saying. At the same time, I keep hearing impeach, treason, remove him from office. This is it. He just did it. I mean, they're talking impeachment so much that we're gonna have to reelect this guy just so they have time to impeach him.
But you know how I will look at it though, Josh. If you're gonna bring up the word impeach, I just think that what we have here with Vladimir Putin just may be another one of those little pieces to the maybe a piece to a bigger puzzle here. Because if Donald Trump gets impeached, it's going to be because of, I personally think, obstruction of justice. I think that's ultimately what could lead to the downfall of the Donald Trump presidency, where he's actually impeached and removed from office. One thing that I think has to happen first, though, is first and foremost, Democrats need to take control of the House. Yeah. I don't think this Republican majority in the House of Representatives is going to impeach Donald Trump.
I don't either. I don't think he's going to get impeached at all. I really don't. I don't think what he's done is impeachable.
I think he's going to be primaried. Obviously, that's not being impeached, but I think he will be primaried.
If I was forced to make a guess right now, who will win the 2020 presidential election, my answer would be Donald J. Trump. I think he will probably be a 2-term president. I don't think he'll be impeached. This is just predictions talking. I'm not, and quite honestly, I think the best chance of him not winning in 2020 is him being primaried by a Republican.
Oh, I thought you were saying if he's going up against Oprah.
Well, it's possible. I mean, hey, it might be the Dems' best bet, but truthfully, I think the best chance, the most likely scenario of him not being president in 2020 is him being primaried by a strong Republican candidate.
I think,
and basically, it's Mitt Romney. Is the person who I think could do it. I don't really even think anyone else could.
I think there's a couple of different guys that could probably do it. I think John Kasich could throw his hat back in the ring with all of this. John Kasich's been doing a lot of talking since he lost.
I don't think he can win a Republican primary against Donald Trump. I really don't.
I think it's John Kasich. I think it's like you said, Mitt Romney. I think Mitt Romney's a good one. a good one to consider. I think that Jeff Flake might be another guy, and I think Bob Corker might be another guy.
Yeah, I don't know that Jeff Flake's a big enough name, and I don't know that Bob Corker is. He's a little bit bigger name than Jeff Flake, but I don't necessarily think there. I think you need a big name.
It's going to be. You know what another one might be? Another one might be Paul Ryan.
Yeah, it's just so many Republicans are turned off by him. Like, I think with Paul Ryan and with John Kasich, you're naming Republicans who Democrats like, and
I'm naming
Republicans that Republicans like.
I'm naming guys who have nothing to lose at this point.
That's true.
That's who I'm naming, because I think you are committing political suicide if you go up I think in a primary against a sitting Republican president or a sitting Democratic president if it was on the other side of things.
You know how I am, and I know I'm just one man, but I'm trying to put people that think like me, and or even people that think similarly to me. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm a libertarian. I'm a federalist. I'm pretty furious with both the Republican and the Democratic parties. But you know that I have voted Republican in the past. I voted Republican in the last primary. Hey, Rand Paul's another one that I feel like could potentially do it. I don't think he will. I don't think he wants to primary.
I think based off of his comments the past couple of days, I don't think so.
Yeah. No, probably not. But he's somebody that I would have named as a potential person that could do it because I feel like he could get the right people to vote for him. But would I vote in a Republican primary for Mitt Romney over Donald Trump? Yeah, I would. I would actually. I voted for Mitt Romney when he ran before. I'm not saying he's my favorite candidate that's ever existed. I didn't vote for him in the primary when he ran, but I did vote for him against Obama. I actually think he would have been a good president, to tell you the truth. Would I vote for Mitt Romney against Donald Trump? Yeah, I would. I'd vote in that primary for Mitt Romney. Would I vote for John Kasich? No. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't vote for Donald Trump either. I've made that very clear.
How does that work? Like when it comes to voting in a primary?
It's different in every single state.
Is it?
It's very much state regulated. Here in Michigan, and this has changed like 3 or 4 times since I've been voting, and I'm only 38. So it can change from election to election. But here in Michigan, you didn't have to be registered as a Republican or a Democrat, but you went to the polls. The primaries were the same day, and you just had to choose which one you voted for. So you didn't have to be you could vote in the Republican primary or in the Democratic primary. You couldn't vote in both, but it didn't matter how you were registered.
Oh, okay, I see.
So if you went in, even if you were a registered Democrat, or maybe you're probably not registered as either, but you do tend to vote Democrat.
Yeah, no.
You could go in there and vote in the Republican primary instead, but you can't vote for. Then you're foregoing your own primary.
Well, yeah, in Michigan, you don't have to register either way. You just go in there and ask for which ballot you want.
Right.
So that's.
It used to be very different. In fact, for a while there, the Republicans had a primary, the Democrats had a caucus.
Okay, so it works. It works the same way as any other primary that here in Michigan.
For the most part, but in some states, you have to be a registered Republican to vote in the Republican primary.
I know New York. I know New York is one of those states that you have to be registered one way or the other in order to vote.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is why Trump's kids couldn't vote for him,
right? Because they weren't registered Republicans. Well, yeah, it was at least one of his kids, right?
They were registered Democrats.
Yeah. Were they registered Democrats, or were they just independents or not registered at all?
I think they were registered
Democrats. Yeah, probably. Yeah, because Donald Trump is an anti-gun, big government Democrat. Change my mind. That's my little college campus stand. Yeah, that's my meme. Really. Like I've said before, I'm not quite sure why the Democrats hate him so much. I certainly don't know why the Republicans like him so much. But that's it. But hey, my true libertarian should come out when I say that the Republicans have never been a small government party. Many small government people do rally to them because there is a sect of them that is small government, where being small government in the Democratic Party in 2018 is, well, they didn't save you any chairs at all at their meetings. There are no chairs or tables available even in the back room for that. But Republicans, yeah, there's maybe a spot for you here on the fringe areas of the Republican Party, but the Republicans have never been a small government party.
You know, sit next to Justin Amash.
Yeah. Go hang out with Justin Amash and Rand Paul and talk about the way things should be and never will. But anything else you want to say about Trump, Putin, Queen Elizabeth, treason, the government, the state of the country?
If I met the Queen, do I have to drink tea?
Yeah. Well, know what? You can say you don't drink caffeine. Yeah, because you don't, right? You don't drink caffeine at all. Maybe they'd have to provide you with some decaffeinated tea or something. I mean, you could, you know.
Can I choose out my own strumpet?
Yeah. Tea and strumpets.
If I know her like I think I do, she'll invite us in for tea and strumpets.
Yes, exactly like that. Just like Dumb and Dumber. Hey man, let's you want to go a little more lighthearted? Want to talk a little music for a few minutes before we wrap up the show? Man, listen, I went to an outside concert this last weekend.
What'd you see?
Bare Naked Ladies and Better Than Ezra.
Oh yeah.
It's good. It's a good show.
You didn't see Ezra?
No, it was way better than the show I saw the week before, because I had just seen Ezra.
So you didn't, then this week you saw Better Than Ezra?
Yeah, so Better Than Ezra was twice as good as Ezra. It was good listening to them. Wahoo. You know, remember their only song. But our outside concerts just... Are you a fan? You as big a fan as me? I love, you know, like here in Michigan especially, that's just such a cool part of the summer music scene is the outside concert thing. I absolutely love seeing a concert outside.
You know what? Tiffany kind of hit on something when she was talking about Florida and boats and stuff like that, and you know how we have it up here and how they have it down there. I think we certainly appreciate, you know, the summer months,
ability to be outside,
and the ability to be outside in the summer months whether it's boating or whether it's concerts. As far as concerts go, I'm cool either way, to tell you the truth.
Really?
I think that actually, you know what? Especially in the summertime, you might prefer an outdoor concert over an indoor one, just because like an evening outdoor concert. Just because those concerts indoors can get really stuffy.
Yeah, they can.
Eating outdoors, though, I'm not all about that.
No. You were saying at a concert or just like at a restaurant?
At a restaurant.
Yeah, no, I'm not a big eat outside guy either.
I think people are crazy for eating outside. But I do enjoy it. I haven't been to many outdoor concerts, to tell you the truth. I've been to some fests and stuff like that. But overall, I really haven't. I'm thinking about it.
I've been to a ton of them.
Have you?
I really have. I've been to... It might be over 100.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I've been to so many outside concerts. I love them, man. And here in Michigan, here in the Detroit area, we just have some excellent venues for it.
I think one of the big the turnoff for the big venue around here, you know, DTE.
Pine Knob. DTE at Pine Knob.
DTE, just DTE. Is the curfew that they have in there.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not a fan of that.
No, it is kind of lame.
And to me, you know what? If I'm one of those residents, suck it up.
Yeah, you know where you moved.
You know where you moved. This is, you know, it's not like they have concerts out there every single night.
Right.
You know, if I lived there and I got to hear a concert...
I'd love it.
I'd love it too.
I would love it. And if you don't love it, why in the hell did you buy a house right next to Pine Knob?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. It's insane. No, I'm sure this is true all over the country, but here in the Detroit area or in Michigan, there has just been dozens of cases of people buying houses by something that has existed and then complaining about it. Right now, just outside Detroit, there's a huge lawsuit going on for a bunch of people that bought these huge $1 million homes, massive, massive houses that they got great deals on, right next to the landfill. Now they're complaining because it stinks.
Did you think it was going to smell like flowers?
Yeah,
or...
you bought a house next to a landfill and you smell it every once in a while. Are you an idiot? People buy houses next to high schools and they complain when the marching band plays.
That doesn't smell like fresh baked bread. Yeah.
Are you stupid? I mean, you bought a house by the high school and there's a marching band.
And again, how often is that marching band playing?
Right.
Really?
Right.
Not that often.
It's like, it's like a month and a half out of the year.
Yeah.
Really. But that's always been a big pet peeve of mine is you buy a house next to something that's existed and then you complain when they do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
It's ignorant. But yeah, I don't know if I just wanted to bring that up to, the people out there. Just there's something great about an outdoor concert, I've actually caught a couple, got caught in the rain in a few.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of cool, kind of a fun experience, Years ago, I saw the Cranberries and Toad the Wet Sprocket at an outdoor venue, and it just poured.
Did it?
It poured the entire time. Just, soaking wet. And I'm not saying I liked it or preferred it, but yeah, check that off the bucket list,
Seeing a concert in the rain?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of cool. I'll never forget the dude from Toad the Wet Sprocket just being on stage, just saying, like, wow, I really appreciate you guys staying out here. I really don't think I would listen to me while I'm getting soaking wet. So, wow, thanks. You're appreciated.
Yeah, it's not like you're seeing the Beatles
Right.
outside in the rain. You're seeing Toad the Wet Sprocket.
Exactly. But, hey, kind of cool. I really love them. I enjoy them. If that's something you haven't experienced at home, get yourself to an outside concert.
It's your best outdoor concert you've ever seen.
Years ago, I saw Aerosmith at Pine Knob at that same place, now called DTE, but Pine Knob is what us purists like to call it because that's what it was always called. And I've seen them there a couple times. The one time I saw them, they actually set up a second stage on the lawn, right in the center of the lawn, and did like a third of the set from there. Incredible show.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible show. Saw Green Day at an outdoor venue, too, that was really great. And I've seen them inside, and it just wasn't as good. Wasn't the same. And same with Aerosmith. I saw Aerosmith at Joe Louis Arena, home of the Detroit Red Wings for many years. Not the same, man. I'm not saying it was bad. It's a good show, but God, that show they did in Pine Knob was incredible. Absolutely incredible show.
I think I'd rather see an outdoor venue than have to go to the Joe Louis Arena.
Yeah.
Joe Louis Arena. I love the place, but
a lot of great memories. For Red Wings fans at Joe Louis Arena. Not a great venue. Not a great place. Really wasn't. I saw the
wall there, but it was. It's you never. I don't think you realize how cramped something is until you see a concert.
Yeah. No, I agree. Actually, of all the great places in to see concerts in the Detroit area, I remember. I mean, it's gone now, but when bands would announce they're coming to Joe Louis Arena, I would always kind of be like, groan. Like, why?
Actually, I think I've only seen one concert at Joe Louis Arena.
I've seen a couple. The Palace of Auburn Hills, the other place they closed for the new Little Caesars Arena in Detroit. The Palace was great for concerts.
Yeah, it's just a location.
Yeah.
Just like DTE, though.
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah, we're saying Detroit area, but really Pine Knob is very much off the beaten path. It's it's up in Clarkston, Michigan. It's a hike.
Yep.
It's a hike for sure. But it's not a terrible drive either. But hey, we got a news section?
Yes, we do.
Let's do it.
We're gonna start off with group Pussy Riot out in Russia. Pussy Riot is their big opponents of Vladimir Putin. They actually had protesters get onto the pitch at the World Cup. And those individuals were sentenced to 15 days in jail for running onto the pitch during the World Cup. And quite frankly, I'm a little surprised that we're actually hearing of them again.
Yeah, 15 days in jail for that's nothing.
That's still more than what you'd get here in the United States.
Well, yeah, but we have freedom of speech here.
Yeah.
They don't there. And Vladimir Putin doesn't even pretend like they do.
Yeah. Also, over in the sports world, looks like Manny Machado is finally going to get dealt. It looks like that will take place probably tomorrow. It didn't happen today, and it looked like they're maybe setting it up so it wouldn't happen today just so Machado could play in the All-Star game. Because by rule, he is an American League All-Star. However, if he was to get traded, he would have to sit out the All-Star game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because it certainly sounds too like he's probably going to get traded to the National League. The top 3 teams that are in contention for him are the Dodgers, the Brewers, and the Phillies. All of those are National League teams. And right now it sounds like the Dodgers are the front runners for him. But it's kind of a roll of the dice, though, when it comes to a guy like Manny Machado, because he's going to, I mean, as far as the Orioles go, he's going to, they're going to be asking for a lot in return for him. The trouble with that is that Manny Machado is going to be a rental player. He is an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. So you very well could lose him. Mm-hmm. And it may not, and you could lose him for essentially nothing if you don't go out and win the World Series with them. So that's always the
that's what the rental player thing's all about.
That's always the gamble that you risk when it comes to this sort of thing. Sticking with baseball news, and this is gonna be a story that's gonna be coming out over on the majors .net in the next couple of days, and it's going to revolve around the aspect of great players being wasted when it comes to baseball. Because right now, what we're seeing, and this was very much highlighted yesterday when Bryce Harper won the home run derby. Because when you look at it, Bryce Harper winning the home run derby was the best thing he's done while playing in Washington, D.C. with the Nationals. And Bryce Harper is one of the great young players in baseball today. And he's one of the more marketable players that baseball has today. The trouble is, not so much where he plays, because Washington, D.C., it's a market. It's on the East Coast. Very, very close to kind of that whole, mega metropolis that is the DC, Philadelphia, New York, Boston corridor. Mm-hmm. But the Nationals haven't...
Basically the Coruscant of the United States.
Exactly, yeah. I like that. I'm glad we got that Star Wars reference in here.
Yeah, we were running late.
But, but the Nationals haven't done anything when it comes to the postseason. And when it comes to that next level of greatness in pro sports, a lot of that is dependent on what you're able to do in a postseason.
Yeah.
And so far right now, Bryce Harper hasn't been able to do anything. And that's not necessarily his fault. I think that there are certainly some definite circumstances that may play into that. And the same can most certainly be said when it comes to Mike Trout as well. Is Mike Trout being wasted when it comes to him playing for the Los Angeles Angels? Again, what have the Angels ever done, not just in the postseason, but the regular season as well? And Mike Trout could actually be one of those. He could end up being the the Dan Marino or the Charles Barkley of his own sport.
Could be.
Because Mike Trout may end up, he probably already is the next Mickey Mantle.
Yeah, okay.
And he's most certainly going to be a Hall of Famer. And he may be a Hall of Famer that never wins a ring. Now, again, he still has plenty of time left when it comes to his his playing career. But when it comes to the whole notion of these guys being waste, you cannot look past arguably the two best players in Major League Baseball today, in Mike Trout and Bryce Harper. So, let's see, what else do we have here? Let's see. Oh, here's one. Scientists in Egypt have. Let me bring this up. Scientists in Egypt have discovered a 2,000-year-old sarcophagus in Alexandria, Egypt. They have decided to open up the giant black coffin, prompting warnings and trepidation from people who have seen the narrative play out in various films. Josh, this is a black sarcophagus being opened up in Egypt.
Pretty cool.
Seriously, what good could come from this, though? Seriously, haven't we seen this in The Mummy? I mean, we've seen this with the Power Rangers. Yeah. I mean, all we know is Rita Repulsa could be sitting in this thing and getting ready to take over the world. It just doesn't seem like we learn from history or learn from television history in all of this.
Yeah. No, you're right. And it's like you have no idea whether or not the world's oldest mutant is still halfway alive inside that black sarcophagus. Oh my God. It might be Apocalypse in there.
I mean, have we not seen Age of Apocalypse?
Yeah, I mean,
it just came out a couple of years ago.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, in your Power Ranger reference, and it's like, why don't you just call Lord Zed yourself? I mean, geez. And so, or, you have to open it up and let it read out.
Hey, maybe Trump is one step ahead of us in trying to unite Putin to fight this thing. So who knows? I'm sure he does probably watch Power Rangers every morning.
This, I mean, it could very well just simply be, a Stargate, and I mean, this is basically like the beginning of the Scientology religion all over again.
I don't know. It just doesn't seem like any good can come from this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, risk reward.
Yeah.
Like what are you going to find in there?
Are you going to find the Holy Grail in here? Probably not.
Right.
So just leave it shut.
I mean, you're probably just going to find a bunch of old junk. But there's a really good chance that the world's over.
But then again, if you do open it up and it is the Holy Grail, who's going to take that first sip out of it?
Right.
Just to make sure you don't meet instant death. Is there a Nazi in the house that we can?
Yeah, they can choose poorly for us. Take the cup of the carpenter, man.
No, so stupid. I'm not saying the movie. I'm talking about us.
Yeah. Oh no, it's a great movie. Great movie.
Oh man, you chose wisely. And then the bitch tries to take it past the Great Seal.
I know. What a jerk. What a jerk she is at the end of that movie.
She was the best looking Jones.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. No, she was, for sure. Yeah. I mean,
it's too bad she was a Nazi, though.
Yeah.
Kind of redeemed herself in the end, but they kind of threw it all out the window, too, when she lost the Grail again.
Yeah, it's like, she was cool, and she was a jerk. I mean, was she cool again for a second? I don't know, maybe.
Let me choose.
That's the Cup of a Carpenter. Great movie. Great movie. The old knight is like the best part of that movie. Love that guy. What else we got, Adam?
Let's see. A new species of venomous snake has been discovered in Australia. The snake, which has been named the Vermicella parscata, is part of a bandy family. It was discovered on a wharf in Cape York in far north Queensland. You know what? I don't have any desire to go to Australia. Yeah. I just see horror stories coming out when it comes to the wildlife there.
Right.
I don't want to mess with that.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to Africa either, because you hear just horror stories about just the bugs and some of the wildlife there that can cause awful things to happen to you.
Mosquitoes in Africa. The mosquitoes are the most dangerous animal on the planet.
Yeah,
they kill more people than anything else on the planet.
It's time to outlaw mosquitoes.
Yeah. No, we need to bring some of those snakes here to get rid of all the toads that are all over the place that everybody's complaining about here in Michigan.
We're complaining about toads?
Yeah, now all of a sudden, there's like a big toad outbreak here in Michigan, and everyone's just crying about it because they're running them over with their lawnmowers, and the rain's popping them out, and they're dying on the sidewalks. It's like, they're toads. So what? It's a thing. It's just a weird, quirky nature thing. We got too many toads. A bunch of them are dying. Like,
I haven't seen any toads.
oh, I've seen a bunch.
Have you?
Yeah. It's just like the birds will eat them like they do anyway. Like, don't worry about it. We got toads this year. It's a weird state we live in. Yeah, this year we got toads.
I haven't seen any toads.
Yeah, like yesterday when the big rain came through, washed a bunch of toads out. And like if you went for a walk on the sidewalk, you saw a bunch of toads because they get pushed out of there. Then the sun hits them and they kind of fry out.
Yeah.
So kind of gross. People are running them over with their lawnmowers like crazy. Like, how do we get rid of the toads? I'll just keep cutting the grass. Huh? What do you want?
You get toad legs.
Yeah, really.
You know the difference between a frog and a toad?
The frogs live in the water, right?
Well, I think one of the big things is the legs.
Oh, okay.
I think toads have shorter legs, shorter back legs.
But I mean, like a frog, like actually, and they both like moisture, but a frog like swims. It lives in the water.
Doesn't a toad swim too?
It might be able to swim a little bit, like on the surface,
but not like a frog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Frog or a toad will live in like the sand or the grass or something like that.
All right. Lastly, here, Bob Mueller asked Virginia judge for immunity for 5 witnesses that heard of the Manafort trial. Mueller's team has requested use immunity, a form of limited immunity for 5 witnesses in Manafort's upcoming bank fraud trial. Bloomberg reported Manafort also lost a bid to have his trial, relocated. It is scheduled to start on July 26th. A lot of this may be big, based off of further cooperation with the special counsel. So
probably
who knows what's going to come out of it. This is another thing that I hate too when it comes to people trying to discredit this. I'm like, oh, you found nothing. They found nothing. Well, they just indicted more Russian spies with all of this. You had the former Trump campaign manager sitting in jail right now. His former national security advisor is getting ready to go to prison.
Right.
They found a lot and continue to find stuff. So let this play out. Yeah.
It's not nothing.
It's not a nothing burger.
No, it's not.
But that's what's happening, Josh.
That is it, man. That has been Around the Empire with Adam Hernandez. And this has been the X-Cast, starring Josh and Adam. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We got a lot more lined up for you in the next month, bringing back deep issues in politics of the empire and the best podcast in history and Loud States. Eventually, I hope we can fit that in soon. And that's about it, guys. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. This has been webisode number 85 of the X-Cast. We'll see you next week.
See you.